This is the Stop Time podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Hopkins, and I'm here to engage you in thought-provoking, motivational conversations around practicing the art of living in the moment. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm excited to dig deep and offer insights into embracing who we are and where we are at. So I am so excited to speak with my next guests. David and I spoke a little over a year ago in July 2020 in season 1, episode 8. And if you're a Broadway fan, then chances are you've been lucky enough to see him on stage in, I don't know, Les Mis, Grease, The Wedding Singer, Motown, Honeymoon in Vegas, An Act of God, Waitress, The Prom, and most recently Beetlejuice, which played its final performance March 12, 2020, when Broadway shut down. Also joining us today is David's other half, Liz Josephsberg, who is nationally renowned wellness and weight loss expert, well known for helping Oscar-winning actress and musician Jennifer Hudson lose weight and transform her life. She also helped Jessica Simpson shed over 50 pounds of baby weight twice. Other celebrity clients include Charles Barkley, Katie Couric, and Susie Orman. So lucky for us, Liz also coaches everyday folks. Yay. In all areas of weight loss, balance, and nutrition. She has appeared on Good Morning America, The Dr. Oz Show, Oprah Winfrey, and more. And she's a much sought after speaker and panelist nationally and probably internationally. I'm just going to add that because if she isn't, she will be. I've been reading her fabulous book, guys. It's called Target 100. Even though I know this isn't meant to be a pitch thing, it's awesome. So yay.
Thank you.
So shout out for that. It's wonderful. So welcome, you guys. We are so lucky to have this dynamic duo with us today, really. Welcome back, David, and lovely to meet you, Liz.
So nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for taking the time. I was so excited. David, when we last spoke, I think you had been put on pause for Beetlejuice and we're just launching Broadway Breathwork, if I remember correctly. You've come a long way. I know that. Tell me about that. I'm so curious about that space because when we met, everything was kind of ambiguous still with the whole thing. But I know that you had already started to shift.
Yeah, absolutely. So on August 15th, 2 days before my 30th birthday, I had my first class and about 55, 60 people came. And then I pretty much continuously did it almost every week, every other week, sometimes three times a month. And it's really been an unbelievable experience. I'm starting year 2. It's been just a dream, as much as the Broadway was a dream at the time. And I'm not here to say that it's definitely coming back, but maybe Beetlejuice will be coming back at some point. It's been just as amazing to be able to find this new avenue and this new arena to, help people.
Well, what's so beautiful about that too is because when we spoke, I remember you weren't doing it much like me with the coaching. You weren't doing it instead of, you weren't doing it as a replacement for, you felt this passion. And I think what you discovered, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like what you discovered was that what you got from performing, you could get elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so, not only does it allow me to do that in addition to, right? So I get joy from singing, I get joy from performing. I'm still doing some things I think I was doing sessions with Josephsberg then where I would do a weekly little sing along, and I'm still doing that. But then I get this other side of sharing and communicating and connecting with people and helping them get better and helping me get better. And it's just been, Lizzie, you'd always say, I like lots of things all at once. Like if I'm having food, I like to have lots of little different things.
If we go to a restaurant, he wants to order everything on the menu and share it.
So I'm sort of getting to do that a little bit.
Yeah. And share it, right? That's what I love. Because some people want to order everything on the menu, but don't really want to share it. See, that's you. David, you're joy. You're just, joy would be the word I would use to describe you. You spread joy and you share it. It's beautiful. It really, really comes through. And we don't know each other that well. And I just want to honor you for that. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that makes, I have a lot of gratitude about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, Liz, I understand that before you became this fitness guru, this health guru, that you also were working on Broadway, singing and acting. Tell us a little bit about that and also sort of what your transition was. I know it wasn't recently, But I'm really curious about that space and what sort of helped you pivot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge part of my life. I was professional, singer, actress for 10 years. I started singing very early and had just a lot of really strong feedback and kind of was pushed in that direction. I ended up going to music school at DePaul University, and then I got my master's degree in opera at Manhattan School of Music. And from there, I started doing some operetta, and then was pretty quickly pivoted into very operatic musicals. Magnolia in Showboat, Cosette in Les Mis, these high C singing. But I loved it and spent 10 years doing that, traveling, doing national tours. That's where I met David. We went on as Cosette and Marius one day, and that was like, I feel something weird going on. So it was a wonderful part of my life. As we met and my priorities started to shift, I was getting into my 30s. I was ready to just I was like, auditioning and hating it. I was getting very anxious. Like I would I would have like a full-on panic attack for an audition, whereas it used to be like I'd walk in and I didn't care, and it became more and more unpleasant. It just kind of was like I just didn't want to do it anymore. And it was a really hard realization to make, more so because I think the people in my life were so embedded in it. My family, my parents, they loved to be able to tell their friends to go see me in a show, and it was like that was more important to everyone else. And it was a very hard shift for me to make. It actually happened one day that we were going to go audition for something together, and it was for Grease. It was like Sandy in Grease. I remember like it's yesterday. Totally. I was just like, oh my God, I can't go. Like, I'm not Sandy. I can't belt. I don't know why I'm going in for this. Like, I had a full meltdown, and I was like, oh my God, it's done. I'm done. And I didn't know what I was going to do. That's for sure. But I had struggled with my weight my whole life. So like I was overweight from the time I was 12. I was in diet programs as a child. I was very messed up, especially then being an actress. I was very, very body dysmorphic. I would over exercise. I would undereat. I would do any diet I could get my hands on. So as I came out of acting, I gained a lot of weight because finally there was no one looking at me, right? So it was like I was free. He loved me. We were we were married. I ended up going to Weight Watchers then at the time, and I had never done Weight Watchers before. So I went in that room and had to listen to other people talking about their relationship with food. And I realized like, oh my God, mine is a mess. And it was really in talking and listening and those groups that I started to kind of shift and go, oh, this isn't about a food plan. This is about what I've learned, my thoughts and behaviors around food. This is not about a diet. So I ended up I just said, I'm going to get a job here. And I started working at the lowest level of the company. I was making like minimum wage. And I loved it because I was talking one-to-one. So as a person steps up on a scale in front of you, they get so vulnerable and so honest. But what I saw was they also got so mean to themselves. And it like broke my heart. And it really became this moment that changed me because I was like, wait a minute. This can't be like how we think about ourselves and weight and our bodies. And it kind of like planted a seed. From there, I ended up, really working my way up through the ranks of the company. I became a leader, and then I worked my way up to be their sort of celebrity weight loss guru and their national spokesperson. I stopped working there now 8 years ago after 11 years working in every aspect. I worked on the science team. I wrote the weight loss programs. I worked in the rooms. I was their national spokesperson. And then I was like, you know what? It's time for me to go find out something more about weight loss. So kind of went back to school, got more certifications, became a personal trainer, just really dug in on the science behind this. And the brain science more than anything else was what really was, because that was that moment, right? Those people stepping on that scale filled with guilt and shame. And wondering like, why would we do those things to ourselves? And where did we learn that behavior? And what was the result of that? And so in studying our brain, I started to learn that like, oh my gosh, that makes you actually eat more. When you feel guilt and shame, the brain turns on this reward system, and you actually go and do the thing that you didn't want to do.
You mentioned two moments in your life where you just stopped and said, I'm not going to do this. One was, the Grease audition, where you just suddenly, I mean, that was the moment.
Yeah.
But that's where you were able to sort of take control of your life, which I think is really, really interesting. And then the other was when you didn't know what you were going to do, which is really cool. And then you forged this whole journey of learning about yourself and all of that. It sounds like the real aha moment for you was when you saw the people stepping on the scale. And I'm so curious to know, did that resonate in you similarly to the audition panel, like the gatekeepers, the voices of the industry and your people that love you, that want to put you in a silo because they understand what a Broadway performer is, but they don't understand what someone on their journey to find themselves is? Talk to me about the similarities or differences, or if that lands for you at all.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. I think it was the way that it manifested for me is I can only talk about it sort of physically. Like it was almost like I wanted every ounce of my body and my brain and my being wanted to help people. And I couldn't connect to that in theater anymore. It wasn't feeding that piece of me who just literally is like, if I could make somebody's day better for 1 second, if I could make them see something differently about themselves for 1 second, then I was alive. And what had happened is that theater had started to feel very dead for me. It felt like it was self-serving. I was doing it for other people, and that it didn't bring me joy, and I couldn't be helpful if I couldn't bring joy. So I felt very shut down versus when I sat there helping a person standing in front of me, I felt completely connected to the universe, to myself, to them. And it made me feel totally alive. And I didn't care if I was making minimum wage. I didn't care. I was joyful going into that job every single day. So it was operating from my gut, if you will.
That's what it totally is too. Like, I was thinking, am I ever going to give up theater fully? I don't know, because it does bring me joy. And so if it brings me joy, it does have that healing capacity for other people as well, if it's my true joy. And then I was thinking about the how you said that the connection between the three with your coaching. It's trying to find the neural pathway. That's the thing. With breath work, you're shutting off that mean voice. You can get to that voice that you're the positive voice. And with Target 100, it literally was about life and about so much more than just nutrition. These are the things that you have to get to the deeper pathways. It's just connected. It's all the same kind of stuff, and it's awesome.
Can you take me back just a little more to when the both of you met? You said you met in a show. I'd love to sort of hear you. Yeah. And feel free to jump in and if you feel differently.
Again, like I don't know. It's always been how I operate, but I actually, I was not looking for love when I met David. Like that was just not in my purview at all. But interestingly, when he was coming out just to fill in for the understudy of Marius for just a 7-week period. And I was out on the road and solidly there. Some women were talking about him in the
Hilarious Marius.
And in Les Mis before this, okay? And he had a real reputation, like as a very, very big dog. So,
okay now.
And so they were talking about him before he even got there. And I wasn't paying attention. They were sort of over it. I was putting on my makeup, getting ready for the show. And they said his name. They said David Josefsberg. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I was like, that's weird. I didn't think much about it.
And I was at home with a good friend who was just out there who said, listen, do anything you want, just stay away from Liz Watts.
Which was my maiden name. He was like, we were starting to kind of just chat a little bit. He was
Did they say why you should stay away from her?
Because he liked me. And he wanted to date me.
Well, I mean, wasn't he dating? He was dating somebody too. So they had a little flirty relationship. Yeah. And so I don't.
So yeah, basically, honestly, we became friends because, as I say, I wasn't really looking for that.
But wait, what was the first thing when I came up to you? I was like, "Hi, I'm David or something. I'm supposed to stay away from you or something." Yes,
so cheesy.
What a bad. I mean, I was younger. Please forgive me for all this business.
Yeah. So anyway, as I say, I was not looking for this. I was like actually actively trying to like not pay attention to this feeling of like, this guy is funny, he's cute. So I would actually go back at night and tell him, the women that were talking about him, like I'd be like, okay, so basically there's this woman, she really likes you. Her name's,
don't.
Like, and
okay.
yeah.
But so anyway, she set me up with all these different girls that keep me away from her.
Yeah, just to kind of like deflect. So long story short, by the end of the 7 weeks, we did go on. I was a Cosette understudy at the time. He was a Marius understudy. And one night they got sick and we went on. And I'd been kind of denying all these feelings. And that night I got off the stage. I said to my best friend, I was like, I don't know why I like felt those songs in like the craziest way. I've never felt that before. And it was sort of that moment of, really feeling it. Long story short, he felt none of that.
That is not true. Come on. I was young in theater. I didn't necessarily feel like, oh, I'm ready for something huge. No. But I felt the feelings.
Yeah. So we started dating. Yeah, we had our ups and downs in the dating because he didn't really understand what it was to date one person. So we had to learn that.
Look at us now, though. If they could see us. No.
Yeah.
So what shifted for you, David? How did you learn? And like how much later was it?
She wrote me a letter.
Do you have that letter?
I don't know where it is, but she wrote me a letter saying like it started like, I awoke to an emotion with the sun shining, and basically telling me that I'm never going to live a full life or a life of any meaning if I don't get my shit together.
I did. I was like, I can actually see who you are.
And we framed it and hung it up in our apartments.
Oh, that's awesome.
I feel like you, because like I could see this person and that he was just totally not living at this, like that he had so much to offer, but just thought like it was totally just not like how he was behaving at all.
Oh my gosh.
So
well, this was like, also, I mean, we can go into it deep. This was after we had a little incident, and then she was going to do a concert up in Canada for a fiance of hers who had passed away from cancer when she was young. And so after I got the letter and we were starting to chat again. This was a few months. Yeah. You were like, no, this is done.
I was like, I'm done with you.
And I said, hey, I'd really love to support you and come up there and be your friend. And you allowed me to do that?
I did.
And then I slept on the floor. And then on the third day, we just had a moment and
all was changed.
All was changed.
Wow.
Never looked back.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's not all been a bed of roses, I'll tell you, but still.
What a great story. So fast forward to you got married. Did you propose, David, or did she have to whip you into shape?
No.
He did.
I did a pretty good job. I was in Les Mis and everyone in Les Mis helped me. Actually, we had taken a trip up to California to Big Sur and we had
seen it. Yeah.
We had seen it. And then somehow I got her out there, took her up to Big Sur, and she didn't even realize what was happening. Idea. Because there was a stream in the back of this Big Sur River Inn, and I was there. She said she still didn't even know when I was about to get on my knee.
Yeah, so it was a total surprise.
Worked out pretty well.
Yeah, he did a great job.
And you guys have been married how long now?
Almost 20
years in April.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That is just amazing. And do you have 2 boys?
2 boys.
Yeah. And how old are they?
16 and 13.
Tell me about how that changed. Well, just talk to me about your boys and the pandemic and
Yeah. You want me to go first? You go first.
We were talking just today about we feel very blessed, like even during the pandemic, that the boys were flexible and they did well in all of it. But it's been terrifying as parents. Like you're just like, what am I doing? How am I doing? What is this going to do to them? Like, what does it mean for them? But I couldn't be more proud of the way that they've handled it. They stayed in sports, which I think really helped.
Yes. And for me, I have been lucky enough to be working for the last few years, which is not always normal. I'm always, a lot of times she's super busy and I'm doing daytime dad. But then it's been getting harder and harder because they have stuff to do all day and I'm working at night. So being able to be my youngest's baseball coach and being able to work out with my oldest, this has been some of, it's sad not to be able to do that job that I've been doing all my life, but that has been a huge positive for us too, like for as a family to be able to have dinner. For me, it's some of my favorite moments are even just working out with Cooper during the day or doing or coaching Benji. It's been supremely awesome.
Yeah. Well, and at that age, I mean, at any age, honestly, with a child, that amount of time, there's so much change normally, but you're not usually with it minute to minute, right? It's a different focus because you were sort of watching them grow like a plant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Day in and day out.
So how was that different? Like,
it's so different, especially for me too. I mean, I've been on this trajectory where sometimes I was traveling, every week, all the way to LA and back, really, really busy. We were relying on his parents, we were, and this was just like a full stop, immediate full stop. And I don't think we had really realized how crazy our lives had become. I mean, we would pass a baton. Like, I would be coming in from the city and he would pass the baton of okay, Benji needs to go here, they need dinner, he needs his homework done, and we'd be like, see ya.
Yeah.
And not see each other. He's not home on the weekends, so I'm doing all the weekend stuff. It was exhausting. And I think that in that way, that's been such a blessing, to be together and to see each other. And I think, there was a beautiful article written where they interviewed children, and their number one thing about the pandemic that they reported they were happier about was being with their parents more often. And I could see that in both the boys, especially with David. It's hard being a mom of two boys because I don't really like to play ball. I don't like to play video games.
I'll do it all day long.
He will do it, so I would look out in the pandemic and I'm up in my office and they're out there playing basketball and I'm crying, because that just wouldn't have been able to happen.
Yeah. The change in us about worrying so much about the school and this and that, I feel like that has pulled back of you know what? They're going to be fine and they're going to make their choices and they're going to, if they don't go, they can choose to work their butts off and get into the school that they want to and make us pay the $400,000 or whatever it is, or they could do something else and that's fine too. And I feel like that's allowed them to really shine. I mean, be
themselves, right? And it really did. I don't know, it was almost like getting caught up in a whirlwind of not keeping up with the Joneses, but should we be doing this and should we be doing that, and all that just dropped. We're they can go to school in their bedroom and have a good life and have their friends and play, and so it just took down all of that of you know what, as long as they're happy, we don't need anything else. We're
ding,
good.
ding, ding. There it is. The joy. Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like you've made a lot of discoveries during this time. That's pretty exciting. And like you've described in your lives, they were there already. This just shed light on them earlier. Maybe then you would have recognized them and you're in a different position. Therefore, you've taken a different action. And that's pretty cool. What is your definition of living in the moment?
What I feel right this second, which could be different from what I wrote yesterday,
living in the moment,
is that it's not running on an identity or beliefs that you were living in the past, on experiences and how you acted in those moments, and not worrying about the expectations and what the future is going to bring. Just living your joy and your authenticity now, which will then make whatever that expectation, the future, perfect, because it is.
I always think for me, the definition of living in the moment is that ability to erase the chalkboard. If you imagine a chalkboard in front of you and your brain just is constantly throwing out all this story and all of these reasons and all of this, they're just it's almost like creating a whole reality in front of you that is not happening right now. For me to be in the moment, I've got to be aware that my brain is a machine and it has a job. And that I can just go in and erase the chalkboard. And I imagine myself with an eraser just taking all of that stuff off, and I take a deep breath, and I actually connect physically to myself where I am. And what that does, it just recenters me, and it takes it out of that realm of like that any of those things that I thought were going to happen in the next hour to 6 weeks are even true, because they're not true. They are not happening now.
No,
So
absolutely.
I think that's my way of arriving, or my definition of being in the moment, is truly just stopping everything. And I do it 50 times a day.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Liz, what would you say is one of your strongest attributes?
And I'm going to make sure to judge to see if it's correct.
Yeah, I would say probably just knowing who I am.
Yeah.
It's not really ever been a question. And I know who I am. I know, it's very rare that I don't know exactly what I feel about something. I'm not confused very often, and I react in a very authentic way, and I just kind of follow that. So it's been just sort of knowing what I want to do next. Someone once said to me, like, it seems like you seem to see like all life as like the disco floor, like, with the light up squares, and you just seem to know where you want to step into next, which one's going to light up next for you. And it doesn't mean I'm on the path, right? Like, I've changed course many times. It's sort of, I'm like, I know I want to do this now. So I think that's probably a strong.
Yeah, that's
strong
beautiful.
piece.
It sounds like you trust the process.
Yeah, like marrying David. Like, once I met him,
Smartest thing she ever did.
best thing I ever did. But I said this to him literally over coffee the other day. Of like, I don't ever doubt my, when I make commitments, when I make decisions, they're from a very true place, and they're always. It doesn't mean they'll always work out. It's gonna work out.
Maybe.
Just kidding. But what I mean? It's just
No,
like,
what's really cool about that too, though, is that, I would add, if I may, going back to what you said, which was that you basically, yourself, that you're confident. It's not so much about, that's your signpost for making decisions. But what it harkens back to me is what you told me, what you shared about when you knew what wasn't for you, but you didn't know what was ahead. But you were okay with that. That is your superpower right there.
Yeah, the lights don't turn on. She turns the lights on the disco floor. And then that's the path.
I love it. And you'll stand as long as you want even in a dark light and be okay.
Yeah.
No, I see that.
I'm dancing around on all the squares. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm like on all those squares.
Trying to be fair to each square.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Right. You okay, Scary? You okay?
He's compassion for all the squares.
Yeah. Well, what would you say, David, is one of your strongest attributes?
I like that word. I think I never even say the word compassion, but you said it before, and then she just said it, and I feel like that's the word that sort of encompasses like wanting everyone to feel good and joy and caring about others, and that's what brings me joy. So that's good because it's you know what I mean. That's what fills me up.
Yep.
So I'm not really doing it to be nice. I'm doing it because it's filling me up. So
yeah. So Liz, what would you say is one of David's strongest attributes?
Oh no.
I think it's just the literal enjoyment of whatever is going on. Like, I have a job. Oh, I don't have a job. Oh, there is no. It's just like what fun can we have here? It's the ability to find that joy in every space of like, oh, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me, right? Like, and then I'm thinking about just the conversation that you just had of like, he literally goes into a show or not in a show. Even now he's not in a show, but he's always creating new best friends, and people love him and come to really feel like they are best friends. And that is sort of his superpower, which is just to connect with people and be joyful in every moment. Like, people are like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened, Broadway's closed. He's like, I'm having the time of my life. I'm like, that's so David. It's so David. And it makes being married to David so easy, because there's never a time where, I mean, you would think like, oh, his whole career went down in one day and he's gonna be upset and I'll be propping him up and helping. Not for a second. He's like, what kind of adventure ride are we on now? Let's do this next thing. That's fun, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So that makes that, I would say that's definitely his ability to enjoy every moment.
That's awesome. Do you see that's something that's different from you? Like, do you think you'd benefit or not from having more of that in your sort of trajectory?
Oh, certainly. Yes. Like, I am very much more, I was much more like needing control. That's something I've really moved away from, and the pandemic's helped it a lot too, of like, just, enjoy every moment that you have, but it's not as natural to me. It's just so natural for David. So I try to kind of sponge off of him, but it's not always successful. Sometimes I become resentful of that. I'm like, really?
I planned the whole Hawaii trip. How do you?
What about the bills? Who's going to pay the bills? Like, I'm very practical, very down to earth, very like, I'm very much like, I plan things, so I'm not as in the moment and joyful with everything, which makes us a kind of a good duo, 100%. I think, because he pulls me out of my seriousness or my planfulness or my control, and I pull him a little bit along.
Oh, and you've taught, I mean, you've taught me so much. I wouldn't be able to do the breath. I wouldn't have been able to do any of these things if you weren't there behind me to help, to teach me and help me. And I think that we both, and I was thinking of your words of like strength and your ability to make decisions and to take imperfect action. And there was, what was it that, remember we were having coffee 2 days ago and you were like, do I give you enough?
Because I'm so independent. I said to him, I was like, I hope that I've never left you wanting, because I am so self-dependent, and he's so opposite, right? So
connection and love and needy, you know what I mean? And I think that was the third word, is your ability to be open and to remain open, and to even just asking that question as you grow, like changing and growing into this, besides having all these other things. And that's the word that I think that is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's something you just want to, like, it just felt so natural, just because he is so connected, and I'm like always was like, I hope I don't cut you down, like I don't cut off connection sometimes, because I am so like
working and
I gotta do this and I gotta do this and I'm like so internal sometimes, and that was that moment of like self-reflection, of desire to connect.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Here's the big question. Well, I think it's big. I mean, it can be big, which is how do you want to be remembered?
You have to go first this time.
As kind. I think if someone would say that I made them feel better and find the kindness within themselves, to be kinder. People are really afraid to be nice to themselves and say what they've done right versus what they've done wrong. That would be my greatest legacy, to know that I made someone feel that they could be kinder to themselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. What about you, David?
I don't know. I was thinking of like, I guess my brain has now at this moment has gone to like my kids, like how they would remember, because like people, others, I don't, I love kindness. It's one of my favorite words for sure. But I guess passing on to my kids, or to, I guess anyone who sees it, is to don't do things because you think you have to, but to be someone who lives a way where to live your joy, and to live things that bring you joy, and you can change, and not to be afraid to step into something new, because life is so short. So you shouldn't spend a moment not doing something will bring you to your eventual joy or to joy. You know what I mean? To as someone who with kindness lives his joy.
I think it's interesting that you brought up the children in that I think that's what we're striving for as parents very hard now, is to just let them find their joy, especially as they get this 13, 16-year-old time of, don't feel like you should do this, you have to do that, you have to go to college, you have to get this grade, or you have I want them to find their way and
because it was mostly different, right? For us, it was like you go to college, you do this, you do that, you do this. And not for everybody, obviously, but I really think that there's so many different paths and so many different things, and I really hope that they'll see us doing that and see and do that.
And all people.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm gonna ask you, what's your idea of a perfect date night? Do you have a quick answer for that?
Yeah, well, you know what? We're sort of like in the middle of doing different things now, because like we're trying not to drink as much through the pandemic. But it used to be like a 24-hour. We've become like the experts at popping into the city, doing a 24-hour date all over the place, like or like eating, having a drink at night, then in the morning waking up and running Central Park or doing something. So there'd be a workout, there'd be food, there'd be a thing the next day in the morning for breakfast, healthy breakfast, and so we'd have maybe a movie or a meditation somewhere, and it's like a full 24, a bath. 24 hours and like knocking it out.
We're like going to write a book called The Perfect 24-Hour Vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I'm glad I asked you that. No, that's awesome. Okay, great. Can you finish this phrase? Most people think David Josefsberg is ... but the truth is.
I mean, we could go with, there's probably many ways, but most people think David Josefsberg is like this funny guy. But the truth is that he really thrives and wants the connection and to know people and to find deeper intricacies.
That's cool. What about Liz?
This is like totally stumping me. I don't know. Most people probably think. I think they think that the things that I do come easy, right? Like that I make things look easy, whereas they don't. There is a lot of thought and processing and work behind the scenes and study and all of these things, but I tend to kind of like just get out there and make it look like it's just all kind of taking place. I don't know. Not my best answer of my life, but
it's a great answer. Yeah, no, you make things look easy, and
yeah, I think people would think like, oh, she's just rolling along. She like wrote a book, and now she's doing this thing, and now she's doing this, and now she's this. But it's really, you spend a lot of time and energy and effort to do the things that look easy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so here we go. Rapid fire. What makes you hungry?
Steak.
Potatoes.
Hey, I don't even love. I like steak, but that's just the first thing.
What makes you sad?
What makes me sad? My children in pain.
People being mean to animals.
Oh, yes.
What inspires you?
Lizzie. I guess that's what I said.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
The ocean.
I also seeing people do what they do best.
Yeah, like Olympians, like watching Olympians or watching like
yeah, Lizzie. No, just kidding.
That's awesome. Okay. What makes you feel frustrated?
Not taking action when I should.
Little annoying things breaking, like a dishwasher.
Oh, I'm on the same. Everything's breaking in our house right now. Everything.
What makes you laugh?
Failing videos.
My Shelby, our dog, is really goofy.
What makes you angry, David?
What makes me angry? Well, when I feel like I'm doing like folding the laundries and doing everything, and I ask my children to just empty the dishwasher one time and they give me the business about it.
Yeah.
That makes me angry.
Fair enough.
Racism makes
Yeah.
me just like seething anger. And when people can't see racism, when they don't have the ability to see that what they just said or did like is a totally horrible thing, and that makes me angry.
Ignorance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ignorance.
Yeah. And finally, what makes you grateful?
Oh, so many things. I don't know that I can. Just being here, having this opportunity to experience everything. That's a little woo-woo probably, but that's really the truth of how I feel.
I'm definitely grateful for the boys, for being as flexible and malleable as they've been, for our family, including the extended family that we have. I think we're very lucky. I'm grateful I have a very strong support network around me in the project that I'm working on now. And sometimes I just sit back and go like, how are these people believing in me and supporting me right now? I'm very, very grateful.
That's awesome. And you've almost made it to the end. What are the top 3 things that happened today? Go. Today.
Well, we had our morning coffee chat, which is always our walk and chat. I'm going to call as one. That's when we get a lot of things, just connection. So my morning connection with wife and dog, getting a lot of wonderful things done on my list, which always makes me feel good, like little things and little actions that I need to take to make things happen in the future. And I had a great workout.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And now this interview, because this has been super awesome.
Oh God.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Same. Liz, do you have a top 3?
Yeah, I'd say my run this morning was beautiful. The weather was perfect. This has been wonderful, connecting with you, meeting you. And I had my hair colored yesterday, so I don't have a gray skunk stripe down my head, and it was nice to blow dry my hair without
Did you
that.
eat yet? Did you have a lovely breakfast?
No, not yet. I'm going to eat right now.
She's starving.
She's like
hungry.
Shaking.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta eat. I gotta.
You guys, I thank you. I cannot thank you enough for joining me. Really. It's been brilliant.
It was awesome.
I'm speaking today with David and Liz Josephsberg. I'm Lisa Hopkins. Thanks for listening. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. And remember to live in the moment.
Yes.
Boom. We are at live in the moment. In music, stop time is that beautiful moment where the band is suspended in rhythmic unison, supporting the soloist to express their individuality. In the moment, I encourage you to take that time and create your own rhythm. Until next time, I'm Lisa Hopkins. Thanks for listening.